You've been lied to, not by villains or con artists, but by teachers, parents, friends, and stories so old they've fossilized into facts. You've heard them since childhood. That we only use 10% of our brains. That lightning never strikes the same place twice. That Vikings wore horned helmets. That the Great Wall of China is visible from space. They sound harmless, even comforting. But what if each of these tiny falsehoods was a window into something deeper? A clue to how our minds build the world around us, not from truth, but from belief. We think of lies as things told to deceive. But the most powerful ones, the ones that endure, are told to simplify. They make the universe smaller, easier to hold. A myth isn't just a mistake. It's a shortcut. A story designed to make chaos understandable. Tonight, we're going to peel those stories apart, one by one. From science to history, from the vastness of space to the smallest flicker of memory, we'll journey through 15 of the most persistent lies you still believe are true, and uncover what they really say about us. So get ready to question everything you've ever repeated without thinking. Because behind every familiar fact, there's a far stranger truth waiting to be seen. Number 15. You only use 10% of your brain. They told you that your mind is mostly asleep, that only 10% of your brain is ever awake, while the rest lies dormant like a frozen sea. It's the kind of myth that flatters and frightens all at once. Because what if there's a genius trapped inside you, locked behind some biological door? But the truth is, both more humbling and more awe-inspiring. Neuroscience has mapped our brains down to the whisper of a neuron spark. MRI scans reveal activity across nearly every region, even when we're at rest. The so-called unused parts are never truly silent. They're managing the heartbeat that keeps you alive, the memories that flicker like ghosts, the balance that keeps you from falling. The myth's origins? A misunderstanding of early 20th century psychology. When researchers spoke of untapped potential, newspapers spun it into unused brain. Hollywood grabbed the idea and ran. From Lucy to Limitless, stories of superhumans unlocking 100% of their minds. But here's the twist. The real miracle isn't that we could use more of our brain. It's that we already do. Billions of cells, each alive with electricity, communicating faster than lightning. Every thought, every word you hear right now is proof that your brain is no sleeping giant. The lie was seductive because it promised something easy, that greatness hides in a switch waiting to be flipped. The truth demands something harder: effort, learning, curiosity. You don't need more brain. You need more wonder. Number 14. Vikings wore horned helmets. You've seen them. Wild warriors of the north, storming villages with horns curling from their helmets like demonic crowns. The image is ancient, or so it seems. In truth, no Viking ever wore horns into battle. Not one. Archaeologists have dug up hundreds of Viking burial sites, swords, shields, ships, but never a single horned helmet. The myth was born not on a battlefield, but in the bright lights of 19th century opera houses. When composer Richard Wagner staged Der Ring des Nibelungen, costume designer Karl Emil Doepler added horned helmets to make his characters look more dramatic, more savage. The image stuck, painted, filmed, and repeated until it felt real. But imagine the absurdity. Horns would have caught on everything during combat, made helmets heavier, and offered no advantage. Vikings were practical. Their helmets simple iron domes, built for survival, not spectacle. So why do we love the horned lie? Because it gives shape to our fantasies about chaos and freedom. The Viking, in our minds, became a symbol of untamed wildness, and horns, well, they made that story visible. In truth, Vikings were farmers, traders, poets, complex as any civilization. Their legend grew not from horns, but from sails, courage, and myth itself. Number 13. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. It's one of the most repeated facts in classrooms that the Great Wall of China can be seen from space, the only man-made object visible with the naked eye. Except, astronauts disagree. From low Earth orbit, the wall is almost invisible. It's too narrow, about 30 feet wide, and built from materials that blend perfectly with the surrounding landscape. NASA astronauts have said that from space, cities and highways stand out more than the wall ever could. The idea may have begun centuries ago, long before humans left the ground. Travelers in the 18th century marveled at the wall's scale, calling it visible to the moon. The phrase wasn't literal, but myths have a way of fossilizing. Ironically, what is visible from orbit are the glowing veins of human civilization, lights of cities, lines of rivers, the pulse of life on a planet alive with movement. The truth doesn't shrink the wall. It magnifies our imagination. The Great Wall isn't great because it can be seen from space. It's great because, thousands of years ago, human hands built something vast enough to make people believe it could be. Number 12. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. Poor goldfish. Forever branded as forgetful. Swimming endless circles through oblivion. 3-second memory, they said. A life of eternal confusion. But science paints a very different picture. Researchers at the University of Plymouth trained goldfish to navigate mazes and recognize sounds, and discovered they could remember patterns and responses for months, not seconds. These small creatures learn feeding schedules, associate colors with rewards, and even recognize their owners. So where did the myth begin? Possibly as a justification for tiny bowls, a way for humans to feel comfortable keeping intelligent creatures in glass prisons. After all, if they forget their world every 3 seconds, what harm could confinement cause? But the truth cuts deeper. Goldfish are curious, social, and aware. Their memory serving as a silent rebellion against the simplicity we project onto them. Perhaps the goldfish myth persists because it reflects something in us. Our own fear of forgetting, of being trapped in repetition. Yet the goldfish remembers. It endures. It learns. In its small, shimmering world, it holds more memory than myth ever allowed. Number 11. Chameleons change color to camouflage. You've heard it since childhood. Chameleons are nature's perfect mimics, masters of disguise blending into any background. But the truth is more emotional than evolutionary. Chameleons don't change color to vanish. They change color to speak. Their shifting hues are messages. Bright yellows and reds signal aggression or love. Soft greens and blues mean calm or submission. Beneath their skin lies a lattice of nanocrystals that reflect and bend light. When they're tense or excited, their skin stretches, altering those crystals, changing the wavelengths that bounce off their scales. The result looks like magic, but it's a form of language, mood, not camouflage. So why do we cling to the camouflage story? Because it fits the human dream of invisibility, the fantasy of hiding in plain sight. Yet the chameleon teaches something different. That true adaptation isn't about disappearing. It's about expressing what lies within. Number 10. You swallow 8 spiders a year while sleeping. It's one of the internet's creepiest facts. That every year, as you sleep peacefully, 8 spiders crawl into your mouth and die. Relax. That's completely false. The myth was born as a hoax in the 1990s, when journalist Lisa Holst fabricated it to show how easily misinformation spreads. Ironically, her point proved itself too well. People repeated the claim endlessly until it became truth. In reality, spiders avoid humans. We're too noisy, too warm, and our breath, full of carbon dioxide, is a warning signal. A spider entering your mouth would be like you diving into a cave filled with earthquakes. But this myth taps into something primal: fear of the unseen. It whispers that even in our most defenseless moments, the small and the sinister find their way in. In truth, what crawls into our minds is more dangerous than any spider. The lies we never question, the stories we never verify. Number 9. Napoleon was short. History has painted him as the little man with a big temper, the emperor compensating for his height with conquest. But Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't short. In fact, he stood around 5 feet 6 or 7 inches above average for a Frenchman of his time. The confusion began with measurement systems. In French inches, pouces, Napoleon was recorded as 5 feet 2. When translated to English feet, it seemed diminutive. Add to that British propaganda, eager to belittle their enemy, and the little corporal was reborn as myth. It was a psychological victory. Shrink the man, shrink his legend. And it worked. For centuries, we've repeated the insult without question. But Napoleon's real stature wasn't in his inches, it was in his audacity. He rewrote Europe's map, redefined warfare, and reshaped law. Ironically, the myth of his shortness became a metaphor for human insecurity itself. We invented the Napoleon complex to explain what we feared most: that greatness might not look the way we expect. The emperor was never small. The lie was. Number 8. Shaving makes hair grow back. Thicker, you shave, and the hair seems to return darker, denser, defiant. It must be growing thicker, right? That's what we've been told. But biology disagrees. Shaving cuts hair at the surface, blunting the tip. When it grows back, it feels coarser only because the fine tapered end is gone. The color looks darker because new hair hasn't yet been bleached by sun or soap. Studies from the 1920s onward have confirmed it. Shaving changes nothing about hair's thickness, growth rate, or color. So why does this myth persist? Because it fits the story our senses tell us. We feel the stubble. We see the shadow. The illusion becomes experience, and experience becomes truth. The real secret to this myth's endurance is our obsession with control, our wish to believe that our actions directly shape our biology. But hair grows to its own rhythm, indifferent to razors, myths, or our illusions of mastery. Number 7. Bulls hate red. Picture the matador's cape, the crimson wave that drives a bull into rage. But here's the twist. Bulls are colorblind to red. Their eyes, lacking certain photoreceptors, perceive the cape as gray or brown. What enrages them isn't color, it's motion. The matador's dramatic sweeps, the fluttering cloth, the taunt of challenge. The red color, in fact, is for the audience, a symbol of blood, danger, spectacle. It hides stains, heightens tension, and turns violence into theater. In truth, Bulls charge not from hatred of hue, but from instincts of defense. To them, the matador is the intruder, the flailing fabric a threat. The myth transforms natural response into human drama. And maybe that's why it survived, because it made us feel powerful. The idea that a mere color could command a beast. But nature doesn't bow to color. It reacts to movement, to fear, to life itself. The bull never hated red. We just needed a story that made our cruelty look like art. Number 6. Touching a baby bird makes its mother reject it. It's a story whispered to children. Never touch a fallen baby bird, or its mother will smell your scent and abandon it forever. The warning feels kind, protective, but it's built on a misunderstanding of nature. Birds don't have a strong sense of smell. Most species rely on sight and sound, not scent, to recognize their chicks. If you return a nestling gently to its home, the mother will usually resume care as if nothing happened. The myth likely grew from our instinct to protect, a way to keep children from disturbing wildlife. But in doing so, it accidentally painted birds as heartless, ready to reject their own offspring at the first hint of human contact. In truth, birds are remarkably devoted parents. They risk their lives for their chicks, defend nests against predators, and call endlessly to locate missing young. Sometimes, our compassion gets tangled in falsehoods. We believe lies that sound kind because we want to do good, even when the truth is kinder still. Number 5. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. It's the comforting proverb we've all heard, that once lightning hits, it won't return. But nature doesn't keep score. Lightning does strike the same place twice, often and sometimes within seconds. Tall structures like skyscrapers, towers, and even lone trees attract repeated hits. The Empire State Building, for instance, is struck an average of 20 to 25 times per year. The myth likely came from metaphor, an attempt to offer hope, to say, tragedy won't repeat. But science doesn't bend to optimism. Electricity follows the path of least resistance, and the same factors that attract one strike, height, conductivity, isolation, make another just as likely. What's fascinating isn't that lightning repeats, but that we keep trying to turn chaos into comfort. We take the unpredictable and write it into a rule. We call it safety. We call it wisdom. But the sky never promised fairness. It only promised light. Number 4. Humans came from monkeys. It's the phrase that makes every evolutionary biologist wince. If humans came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? The truth is more wondrous and more complicated. Humans didn't descend from modern monkeys. We share a common ancestor, a species that lived millions of years ago, branching into separate evolutionary paths. One led to us, the other to today's monkeys and apes. Imagine it like a great tree. We and monkeys are different branches, not one growing from the other. Evolution isn't a ladder of improvement, but a web of adaptation. Each species is a masterpiece shaped by time and environment. So why does the myth persist? Because we crave linear stories, simple hierarchies with humans at the top. The truth is less flattering. We're not evolution's pinnacle, just one expression of its endless creativity. The myth reduces our origins to ego. The reality reminds us of kinship, that somewhere in our DNA still hums the memory of fur, forest, and survival. We didn't come from monkeys. We came with them, part of the same long, beautiful experiment called life. Number 3. Black holes suck everything like a vacuum. You've heard it in movies and classrooms alike. black holes, the cosmic monsters that suck everything into oblivion. The word hole itself conjures a bottomless drain, swallowing light, planets, and time itself. But that's not quite how they work. A black hole doesn't suck things in like a vacuum cleaner. Instead, it exerts gravity, just like any other massive object. If our sun were replaced by a black hole of equal mass, Earth's orbit would remain unchanged. We'd continue circling the same gravitational center, though the warmth, of course, would be gone. Only when you cross the event horizon, the invisible boundary where escape becomes impossible, does space itself curve so dramatically that nothing, not even light, can return. The myth of the cosmic vacuum is born from human fear, a need to imagine the universe as something that consumes without mercy. But the truth is subtler. Black holes are not monsters, but mysteries. They warp the laws of physics, compressing matter into a single infinite point, a place where time, space, and understanding collapse into one. We imagine them as destroyers, yet they might be gateways, engines of rebirth, perhaps even the seeds of new universes. The lie was about terror. The truth is about awe. Number 2. You need to wait 24 hours before reporting a missing person. You've heard it from television dramas, whispered as if it were law. You can't report someone missing until after 24 hours. It's one of the most dangerous myths of all. In reality, you should report a missing person immediately. The first 24 hours are often the most critical, especially for children, the elderly, or those in danger. Law enforcement agencies around the world emphasize that there is no waiting period. The misconception likely arose from outdated procedures and pop culture. Detectives on TV needed time to build suspense, so the 24-hour rule became a dramatic device. Not a real one. But in real life, that delay can mean the difference between rescue and tragedy. We cling to the myth because it feels orderly, that bureaucracy governs chaos. But disappearance doesn't wait for permission. Time, in these cases, is a vanishing act all its own. Sometimes, the lies we tell aren't ancient or amusing. They're deadly. Number 1. Eating carrots improves night vision. During World War II, British pilots seemed to possess an almost supernatural ability to see in the dark. Newspapers claimed their secret was carrots, packed with vitamin A, boosting their night vision. People across Britain began planting gardens and munching carrots by the ton. But the story was a cover-up. In truth, the Royal Air Force had developed new radar technology that allowed them to spot enemy planes in darkness. To keep it secret, military propaganda invented the carrot myth, a harmless lie to hide a deadly advantage. Yes, carrots contain beta-carotene, which helps maintain healthy eyesight, but it doesn't grant night vision. Once your body has enough vitamin A, eating more changes nothing. The myth endured because it was charming, hopeful, a tale of everyday vegetables turning ordinary people into heroes. And maybe that's why we still repeat it. Because we want to believe that small things, a habit, a bite, a belief, can make us extraordinary. The truth, however, is that our vision doesn't sharpen in darkness by eating carrots. It sharpens by learning to see what's hidden in plain sight. So there they are. 15 lies we've carried like heirlooms, each one polished by time and repetition until it gleamed like truth. From goldfish to galaxies, these myths remind us of a strange human paradox. We are creatures of curiosity and comfort. We build stories to make sense of the world. And when those stories feel right, we cling to them. Some lies soothe our fears, others glorify our past, and a few simply make life more interesting. But every myth, once unmasked, leaves behind something even more powerful: wonder. Because the moment a falsehood shatters, we glimpse how vast truth really is. The brain isn't mostly dormant. It's a living storm of electricity. The Great Wall doesn't shine from space, yet human imagination still stretches farther than stone. Carrots don't grant night vision, but our need to believe in small miracles? That's as human as hope itself. We live surrounded by comfortable illusions, but maybe that's okay. Myths are our first mirrors. They show us who we wish we were. Truth, however, shows us who we are: curious, fallible, endlessly learning. In the end, every lie you've ever believed is just an unopened door. Behind it waits not disappointment, but discovery. Because truth isn't a destination. It's a light, flickering, fragile, and infinite, forever asking one simple question: what else have you yet to see?